All right, so let's get started. Why don't you first introduce yourself to the people who don't know you, and yeah, we'll go
Yeah,
from
hi,
there.
I'm Raphael or Rafessor. I'm the CEO of Spark Universe and by extension CEO of Modcore Inc., which is the company behind the Essential mod. I've been creating Minecraft content basically since I remember, which is like I think I was 13 when I started in like 2012.
Yeah,
So I've been in the community for a long time and had the privilege to be able to go from being a hobbyist to turning this into my job and building Spark Universe, which is one of the biggest companies in the space. Yeah, and that's kind of what I have to say.
all right, awesome. Must be nice, right? Turning your hobby into your daily job.
Of course, I mean, I think this is any kid's dream. Anyone that starts where I started, or at least for me, it was always this idea of I wanted to start a Minecraft server very early on. I wanted to build a build team that I can do commissions with. I tried all these different things, and I always wanted to have Minecraft become my career.
Yeah,
And like I said, I think it's an immense privilege to actually have gotten there. And I'm also at this point with the size of company where I'm really happy that I can extend that privilege to everyone on our team and that we enable for so many people to turn this into their careers. And that's really awesome.
yeah. I mean, I can tell that you're very happy on your job. I mean that's also why you're here, right? Otherwise, you would probably not have accepted my invitation.
Yes,
Uh,
of course.
But yeah, let's first talk about essential, right? Because that's mainly what I covered. I don't really cover Bedrock add-ons.
Yep.
Um, why don't we first start about how did you come up with the idea for it, like the creation behind it, and some of the inspiration, maybe.
It's it's a it's a very funny story. I think it was 2020 when we came up with Essential. It was with our Spark team, we had this general intention of doing more than just creating content on Bedrock. We obviously all come from Java, as any player
Mm-hmm.
in our like that has played for so long does. Um, and we were just thinking of things we could do. We had an idea for making a server, but everyone makes a server. There's so much competition. There's also like I'm not sure there's I mean, there is room for originality, but I don't think we had a spin or a take that would really allow us to bring something new to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we kept thinking, and we realized there was a bit of a gap with just Minecraft's usability for casual players. I think Minecraft has accessibility problems, especially on Java Edition, where you have to know your way around. You have to be a sometimes you have to be a more technical user to install things to figure things out. And we had this idea of creating a mod that improves the quality of life features of Minecraft. And the vision really was to kind of become what Optifine was for a long time, but just not for performance features, but for quality of life, where anyone that starts a new Minecraft install just goes and gets Essential. And we started with things like a social menu, friend system, screenshot browser, screenshot editing in game. Um, Literally, I think a feature that we thought a lot of early on is just having this little button on your main menu that opens the Minecraft folder, so you don't have to always go in and do percent app data, percent
Oh,
get to
that's
your like we
cool.
just
Yeah.
it's a very simple thing. Like it's like 3 lines of code, but like I'm sure many people use it. We also did an account switcher. I'm not actually sure that was in the first version, but it might have been. And then obviously, I think the feature that we became known for, the feature that ended up defining us, is that we allow free world hosting, so people can play with their friends for free, connect to each other, and it that really I think is what most people ended up getting Essential for or know Essential for. Um, but that was kind of the idea. It's just quality of life in Minecraft isn't great. Let's
Yeah.
fix that. And we like to talk a bit more about the history of how we actually got started is through someone that worked at our company, we learned of a team of Hypixel modders that was having a similar vision, a bit of a different direction, but they were already started on a project. Their project also had this idea of being a monetization engine for other mods.
Yeah.
Um, and we kind of just decided, like we met with them and decided to work together, and then we started Modco together as a collaborative project and built Essential together for a long time. And then about 1.5 years ago now, with the Spark Universe, we decided we want to invest into Essential more and make it a bigger focus for Spark. So we acquired a majority of the rest of the shares and made it a full Spark Universe project, and are now basically pushing forward full speed. And turning it into what we want it to be. And still, I think we have a really cool project, but there's still a lot of room for us to grow, a lot of places we can go, and we're super excited to take it further.
I mean, now the name Essential kind of makes sense, right? Because I only know it as, hey, this is the mod that allows you to do multiplayer, but I didn't know you started doing it as a more generalized upgrade to the Minecraft experience. Because
Yeah,
it is true. If you want to play Minecraft with some friends, you either be in the same room or you have to know how to set up a server. And having done the hosting series now, where I go over how to do self-hosting and stuff, the amount of people who don't know is absolutely bigger than you would expect.
of course, yeah. And I think like the reason we're so known for world hosting is because it's obviously our most popular feature and it's the one that's stuck. It's the one that people really want to use, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's definitely become a big focus for us, but our project is about more than that. And we still have this vision for enabling just a more seamless casual playing experience. And I think like this is a big weakness of Minecraft Java Edition, where I think we have many people that have been here for as long as we have, or maybe 5 years, right? But people that have been there and just learned their way around, know how things work. But I think for people to get into the game and start fresh, like there's a bit of a barrier of entry, and I think we're trying to lower that barrier of entry with our project.
Well, it's commendable because people nowadays start with the Bedrock edition. Like my brothers are playing Bedrock, and I started with Java. Obviously, I chastise them, but it doesn't work.
Of course. I think generally kids today are less technical than we were, just because software has become more accessible, computers have become easier to use, so people get it less. And I think, I mean, we come from Bedrock in content creation as well, of course, so we understand those players. And I think making that jump from Bedrock to Java more easy is definitely something we can do as well, because we understand both types of users.
I would say my brothers, because my youngest brother is, fun fact, 4. There's a large difference between me and my brothers, but I didn't know how to operate a gaming console when I was 4. I think they're more tech literate than we are, but they're just not prone to problem solving technology. Because let's be honest, the smartphones from 2000. Do you remember like the small Galaxy phones that came out, like the first ones with their terrible OS? That shit didn't work. It didn't
Yeah.
work. You have to battle it every day to get your Skrillex Bangarang to get out of your headset in like a horrible compressed audio. And nowadays it's still like they pick up their phone, they're just like, okay, I got it. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I think that's actually a great way to look at it. I think when I say kids are less technical, that's not very fair. But I mean exactly what you mean, which is
yeah.
like we had to deal with so much shit that they don't have to deal with. And I think Minecraft is still in this place where it a lot of times things don't work, right? And I think because technology has become so accessible, like people struggle to deal with things not working. And I hope we can solve that a little bit.
I mean, it's commendable. It's really commendable because Java does need some quality of life changes. Like for example, what you do with the world host, that's just a standard feature in Bedrock, apparently.
Yeah, it is. Actually, one of the reasons we came up with it, we looked at what does Bedrock have that Java doesn't have and Java really should have. And that's how we came up with having world hosting.
Yeah, I mean, you should always have the option to do a dedicated server, but world hosting, if you just want to do like, I think I have used Essential once, because I have literally a server right there. I have used Essential once just because I wanted to try out that mod that's doing, what's it called, Risk of Nether or Reign of Nether.
Reign of Never,
No,
yes.
Reign of
Really
Nether.
awesome project.
Yeah, it is. Also interviewed that guy, but I did it. I did use Essential to do like a few matches of that because it was just easier than setting up an entire server, which is meddling with like folders and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That is exactly the use case.
Well, yeah. Let's maybe do a brief synopsis how Essential works on a technical level, because I have a video about it, but people may not have seen that. So maybe just a brief synopsis of how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I can explain the top level. I want to start with I'm not a super technical person, so please excuse me if I get something a
No
little bit
worries.
wrong.
I'll
But
correct you.
generally speaking, Essential, like players log in, we connect their session with our infrastructure. We authenticate that their Minecraft account is there and they are a real player with an account and are not using a cracked version because of EULA reasons.
Yeah.
And then we basically allow them to use our social features, use any of our features. Some of our features don't actually require being connected to our infrastructure, but most of them do because we have lots of things that we sync with the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I think world hosting is the most interesting feature technologically, and it's very simple. We basically just enable a connection between two players, so we don't actually host the server ourselves, but we just let them connect with each other, do the handshake between them, and then their computers can communicate. And there's actually multiple technologies we use. We kind of like we use ICE, which is
Yep.
a connectivity protocol, which works in a majority of cases. That's our main method of connecting them.
Hmm.
If ICE fails, we back up to UPnP, which is a similar technology that's a bit older. And if
Yep.
UPnP fails, we just route the traffic through our server. So we basically have we have a preferred option, we have a fallback option, and we have another fallback option, so that our our player hosting works in almost all scenarios. And that's actually something that is different about us to I think other projects that we work in all of those scenarios. And yeah, I think that's the most technical explanation I can give. I think you can probably explain it better than I can, but I'm just not a technical guy.
I'll take that as a compliment. Yeah. So the indeed, I think I made the main thing you use is ice indeed, because
Yes.
the competition, I'll say, it's not really competition. It's just other mods doing the same thing, specifically only world hosting, which E4MC, and I think it's world host. Those two use the other methods that you just described. So we have the ice with the turn and stun, and then we have just rerouting to a server, which is E4MC, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have World Host doing the UPnP thing, which all have their pros and cons. I think the Ice protocol works the best. I don't know if you have statistics to see how many people are using which infrastructure, but I would suppose Ice is the more used.
I don't have any numbers, but it's a vast majority. Like I would not be surprised if it's 90%. But I don't actually have numbers. I'm just going off of meetings and conversations we have about it.
I mean, again, even Discord uses ICE. It's traditionally more used for communications, like real time communication, but for servers, it's great, right? Because the single player on Java is just this a server instance that's not open.
Yeah,
That's the
I mean
difference.
exactly.
No, that's cool. I kind of like that approach, and it inspired me to see what the others are doing. So that's it's pretty nice. Um, but maybe a good question then to ask, because we're talking a little bit about the competition. It's not right. Well, basically just three people doing the same thing. But as we established, Essential does other stuff as well. It's not the main goal. We should maybe discuss the open source question, right? Because these other projects are open source. The entirety of modded Minecraft is built on open source. I would say it's a very important aspect of the community. Um, Essential has gone semi-open source, if I'm not mistaken. Some of the code is visible. Um, Maybe you could say what you told me when I asked about it first, why it's not fully open source.
Yeah. So the way we open sourced this, we open sourced a lot of our libraries. So we have a lot of underlying technology we built Essential on top of. We have like a declarative UI library that all of our menus are built from. That's very useful. We have a configuration library. We have lots of behind the scenes tools that allow us to build very easily for Fabric and Forge at the same time. And all of those things are useful to our modders. We open sourced. Now with the Essential mod itself, which is the thing that users install, where all of our features are in, we decided to go source available, which the difference between open source and source available is only for transparency purposes. So people can't go and use the code that we build our features with.
Yeah,
They can just look at it and verify that it's safe.
yeah,
And the reason we do that is quite simply because, I mean, first of all, we're a business. We don't want to enable another competing business to go and just take all of our features, repaint them, and mess with our basically make money with our work and take away from our ability to make money with our work. So that's a big reason there. And I think for some context as well, I think we're in this space where we have a majority of the modding community is hobbyist and is very open source, and that's commendable. And I think we come from a hobbyist place,
Mm-hmm.
But there is also businesses in Minecraft. We've already had issues with people stealing code from us directly. It's not fun to deal with, and if there was only people in the world that would use the code that we open source in an honest and fair way and would not be would not use it to just rip us off, right? Like
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I think this would be a different story. But there isn't just good faith actors in the world, and we have to protect our work effectively. That's why we went source available, and we went source available because we cared about transparency. There was a lot of people, you know, kept telling us we're not safe because we're not open source, which is not necessarily a truthful statement. There's a lot of software in all of your computers that isn't open source, but we understand that people care about transparency, so we wanted to give it. And I think it's also a thing that we learned with the project over time, because we don't come from Minecraft Java modding. We come from making
Bedrock.
servers or building worlds, right?
Oh
That's
yeah,
how we
yeah,
started on Java.
yeah.
Then we moved to Bedrock, which was the place that allowed us to turn this into our livelihoods. And then we came back to Java with a mod, and we never had made a mod before. And the thing we learned in the Java modding community is that there's a requirement for us to build trust with players. It's not and I think there's a higher level of transparency required because there's so much history and there is so much dishonesty that has happened in the past. There are projects that shipped with viruses, that sold you data, that had a Bitcoin miner in there, right? So there's a bit of a broken base of trust from users to modded projects, and that's because it's a hobbyist space where anyone can just create something and upload it, and not everyone is going to do that honestly. And we have learned that lesson, and we've taken a lot of steps to increase that transparency and respect that history.
I mean, again, it's commendable. I've talked to what's his name? I think it's Jay Starfish, the one who did like a mod that's for sale on their Patreon and stuff. I basically told I'm gonna say the same that I told to him. If you're doing anything on Minecraft, you're building on the shoulders of giants because Forge, NeoForge, Quilt, Fabric, they're all open source. If you take that code and then you sell it on, essentially it's not for sale, let me say that, but if you take that and do a project with the intention of making money and don't open source it, you're kind of just profiting off years, and I mean like almost 2 decades of work that's being done by these very talented developers, and then just gets shipped with any other product and said, hey, you need to pay $5 before you can play my mod. You know what I mean? So Essential going source available is a really good step in the right direction, and I understand that we're probably never gonna get fully open source unless the project absolutely just doesn't make any money anymore. But it's understandable why it would go source available only, because there are bad actors out there indeed. Like I just said, there are people who take open source projects and then just ship it with something else and make a profit off it, right?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting perspective as well. I think one thing to say there is that I think we monetize our project in a way where our monetization is entirely optional. No,
Yeah.
everyone can use our features for free, and we have built a cosmetic system and wardrobe on top of it, which has some free cosmetics, but which is mostly a monetization feature, right? And I think that's because, like I said, we are all doing this as our jobs, and we have a team of, at this point, almost 60 people working at Spark Universe across all of our projects, which is not just Essential,
Yeah.
but we're paying people's bills every month effectively, and we're an employer, and we have to have some stability, and we can't just create something for the fun of it. We need to make money with it, otherwise we can't pay people what they deserve, right? And I think that's where we're coming from, and we're trying to monetize our project to get paid for the work we do.
Yeah.
Um, I think with something like Fabric and Quilt and Forge, those are incredibly important projects and incredibly, we couldn't exist without them. And I think the one thing there is that they decided to create those projects as a hobby, and they are not looking to monetize it, right? And I think
Yeah.
we're coming from a different place of, we're paying people, we need to make money, so we're monetizing our project. Either
Yeah.
way, I think this is an interesting thing for us to think about, is if we can potentially support those projects as well with our monetization. So that's a thing for me to think about.
I mean, there is something you want to talk about, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, again, I think it's important to distinguish that there is no bad way of going about this other than taking the code and selling it on, which is not what you're doing. You're just taking, I believe you're just still, because it runs on Forge and Fabric, right? So you,
And Neoforge soon. We're
oh
working
boy,
on it.
yeah, because I remember Geek, and Geek said that updating it to Forge was a pain in the ass. That man deserves a raise. Anyway, I love him. But yeah, Neoforge support is awesome to hear because that's probably what's most mods are gonna go on for.
We've been wanting to do it for a while. I think generally the one problem we have is there's so many things we want to do and only so much things we can do.
Oh yeah,
So it's been like I think we've actually talked about adding Neo4 support on a Discord with our community like a year ago, and it still hasn't happened, which I feel a bit bad about. But it's
Eh,
just how development goes of a project like this, unfortunately. And
from
it's coming now. That's the good thing.
yeah. From what I understand, it's just a few tags changes and a few internal changes that doesn't do anything except for divide the entire modding community even more. But anyway, I'm gonna get not get pitchforks up my alley again. Let's actually talk about that store. You say it's fully optional. I agree with that. I think our only disagreement we had was the implementation of the store, right? Because I'll admit I'm a pretty hardliner of like I don't want any monetization in my mods or in my stuff. But then again, I understand you are indeed an employer of well, I would say a lot of people, like a handful of people. You need to pay their food, their bills, their work. I understand why it's coming from, but yeah, I still, it's like because the only concern that I would have is if the transactions would happen on platform, but they don't. They go to a website, right?
Yes. So, I mean, the way our monetization works is we have an in-game currency. People can buy coins. That happens through our payment provider, which is Tebex.
Mm-hmm.
So, effectively, decide to buy coins, you get to a checkout website where you can uh, pay for it, and then you'll have in-game coins that you can spend within our store.
Yeah.
And that's how our monetization works.
Yeah. I mean, that's how most of the monetizations work in most games, right? The only criticism I would have from the perspective of how would I improve it is not using coins but going for straight money value. But I think there's some legal issues on there. I'm
It's
not
it's
quite
it's
sure.
it's complex. So
Okay.
I mean, we used to have a store where we just had items that were checked individually.
Yeah.
There's a few reasons we switched. On the one hand, obviously, we're always looking to improve our monetization and are trying to make our business sustainable. On the other hand, there's an actual usability factor of previously checking out cosmetics was quite painful
Yeah.
individually, and paying for a coin pack makes it a lot more seamless. Um, but I mean, look, at the end of the day, I understand then when people are critical of monetization, I understand people don't like monetization anymore. This is a mostly hobbyist space. The only thing I would say that is, like I said, our monetization is optimal. I don't need everyone to like it. I don't need everyone to spend money in our store. Um, it's for us, it's obviously a necessity to make money with the project,
Oh yeah.
and it's a necessity to make enough money with the project to turn a profit, because otherwise we're not sustainable. And that's why our store exists, that's why it works the way it does. And we're trying to be fair, right? Like, we're not trying to, when I would say we're far from an exploitative monetization platform. We're far from like trying to squeeze people for the last penny, but we're trying to be fair, but we're trying to make money as well. And those things, there's a balance that we have to strike on our end to ensure we're sustainable, but also to ensure our users have a good experience. And I think we're making a good compromise. We're walking a good line.
I believe so because you also give some free at the second you log in. And I think in the video itself I record my first ever like actually going in the store, right? And there is this moment where I'm like, holy shit, that's a lot of money, Batman. And I calculate because usually what these other stores do is they would say, okay, you can buy 100 coins, 200 coins, and whatever, and then price everything around 150 coins. But there's no option for 150 coins. You would always have to buy the 200, and then be left with 50. You don't have any like it's wasted value. But as far as I've seen in Essential, that's not really the case. Usually you charge if it's something for $20, it's $20 and you can buy for $20 and get it in. There might be some things that don't do that, but the few that I've saw all just don't do that scummy stuff of, hey, you need to buy more coins than you need and you don't have anything to do with them.
Some of that definitely just happens naturally.
Mm-hmm.
With because not all of our cosmetics are priced exactly the same price
Oh
as
yeah,
a coin pack. I think our store is also designed a lot around people not buying a single cosmetic but designing an outfit. There's a big thing about our pricing as well, where we're kind of in this weird spot where our individual items are like a certain price, and if you make a big outfit, it gets really expensive. And we're in this weird spot of, if people buy an individual cosmetic and we make it super cheap, then we don't make any money. Whereas
yeah,
if people make a super big outfit like we want to, it get like and we price our individual cosmetics at a price where they make sense for us, then the big outfits get really expensive. A way we're trying to counter that is just, we have our featured page where we have like outfits that we put together a few, like one every day, and some pages we have multiple, and we put massive discounts on those, so basically people can get the really big cool outfits without having to spend ridiculous money. But I mean, I won't say there isn't some of that going on, like, right, like it's
yeah.
sometimes people have to buy more coins than they're actually spending on an item. um and that's how monetization works.
I mean, as long as you're keeping a mind on the user and their experience, and not just, hey, they're a piggy bank. But I like the collective thing costs less. It's a very, I don't know if you know anything about Warhammer, but
I
as
don't.
you might see, I'm an enjoyer. Uh, but they also have these things where the kits themselves cost like $50 to $60, and then you can buy a whole box with a bunch of miniatures that then are like individually they would be 20 to 30% less expensive if you buy them in a box and you get a bunch of them. So I like that approach. It's a good approach to have, where people still have that middle ground of, I just want that thing, but I don't want the entire outfit, or I want the entire outfit, but that's going to be very expensive. It's good balance, especially that discount. Um, but the reason I asked if the payment was done on another website was, I think I tried it, but I can't remember. Is because online you've been kind of the target of allegations, I would say. Very, very confident allegations that you guys are spyware. Now, I think I highlighted in my video that it would be kind of stupid if you were selling off data, because you don't have any. Well, you have data, but not sellable data, and I got a little bit chastised over that as well. But maybe you should explain your guys' stance on what you do and what you actually collect.
Yeah, I mean, so the data we collect is basically, we collect your Minecraft username, your UID, because we have to have an account so you can send messages to your friends and all of that. Um, we we track when people play with Essential. This is kind of for us to have engagement data. We want to know how many people are using Essential, how much they're using Essential. It helps us build the product. We also have some deeper engagement data, like which menu do people spend time in, which buttons do they click, how often, right? But
Yeah,
obviously, none of this is data that's relevant to anyone other than us, and
yeah,
it's purely useful to us to improve our product. Um, I think other data we have is, we have some data on the hardware that our players run. This helps us understand how powerful the devices are, how well the hosting is running, right? If like, and we kind of can see if people with worse hardware are canceling their sessions more often. We understand maybe where are the thresholds where this isn't working very well. Those things are useful for us. We know the continent our players are from. It's just interesting for us to know, where do people play our product from, where should we focus our communication, should we maybe add more language support, which is also a conversation we're having internally, right? So basically, our data is all around, how do people use our product, where do people use our product, like when do people use our product, and that's all data that's useful to us.
yeah,
What's super important there as well is that we have a privacy policy. Well, obviously, we are a serious company. We're not just a few friends making a mod. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we have to take this very seriously. We have worked with lawyers. We have an internal compliance person, and we take these things very seriously. And we have a privacy policy that we implement, that we go by, that we have to go by. If we didn't and someone caught us, we'd be very, very screwed.
Yes.
And our privacy policy is very like anyone can go and read it, and it says exactly what we can and can't do with our data, and we can't sell our data. We're not allowed to sell our data. If we were to sell our data to someone, we would be breaking our privacy policy. It would be a huge mess for us, and quite realistically, our data isn't worth any money to sell.
No, indeed.
We've never tried. I don't know how much someone would offer us for it, but it's not worth anything, right? Like there's no point for us to go and sell to people how people use our menus or what their Minecraft username is. Nobody cares about that data.
Yeah, because essentially, especially you are in a way a Bedrock add-on partner, if I'm not mistaken, like Spark Universe is. So if one
Yeah.
of your products is caught like selling stuff and being spyware, that absolutely just tanks your reputation with Mojang, and that could potentially cost your entire business.
We would even outside of being a Minecraft partner, like we're a serious company with, like I said earlier, I think we're almost 60 people working full time at Spark across everything now. We're
Yeah.
not going to risk people's livelihood for a quick buck. That's just doesn't make sense for us at the scale of business
No,
we are.
indeed.
And you know, I think, like I said, I think the easiest the clearest way to counter the fact that people say we're spyware is like read our privacy policy. Like it's all there.
But
It
that's
says
reading,
exactly.
man. Who
Yeah.
reads? Nobody reads anymore. Everybody just takes what's being said to them because that's easier.
I mean, I think this highlights a weakness of us as well that we've had, which is we've not been great at openly communicating and going out there and telling people where we're coming from, why we're doing things a certain way. It's something that my goal for this year is to resolve that a little bit. But
Mhm.
we come from a very product driven position. Like we're a company, like our founding team, we're super driven by making cool products, and we've always built essential like we would build any other product, like a software business
Yeah,
effectively.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
trying to build a really cool product, a really cool platform people to use, and we think about it like that as well. We're not necessarily coming, like I said, from a Minecraft modding background, but from a product background, and we just have a big and strong passion for Minecraft, which leads us to this space. And with something like the reason we track data on how our product is used is so we can improve our product. And like I can also extend this a little bit on there's a thing that we used to get a lot of criticism for, which is that we had auto updating in our product, which was enforced. And this is something, if you look at products using, I'm just going to say Discord because we're in Discord right now. Discord auto updates as well, and nobody bats an eye, right? Like it's
Yeah.
a thing that products do. It's good from a product perspective. It makes it much easier for us to maintain. It means all users are experiencing the same features. It's easier for support because they don't have to check, is someone on an old version or something
Yeah.
maybe work differently, right? So it's a pretty common thing for products to do. We've changed this now. Our auto updating is opt in by now, and that's a change we did based on feedback. And I think, like I said earlier, we learned to understand that there's a lot of history with Minecraft mods. There's a lot of things that went wrong in the past. There is a higher barrier of trust for us to overcome. So we listened to the feedback, we made a change, and our auto updates, they're still possible for users. If you want to auto update, you can, but it's disabled by default, and you have to opt in. And yeah, I mean, that kind of shows as well that, I mean, first of all, I'm trying to explain where we're coming from with
Yeah.
how we do these things, but also we're not blind to feedback. And I think what we need to do more going forward is communicating why we do things the way we do, communicating when we're listening to feedback and how we're listening to feedback, and not just doing, because effectively our communication right now is our change logs, and that doesn't give people room to understand us.
Change logs are good for when you're on Steam and you updated your game. People read those, or I do at least. People don't read a mod change log at all. They just go to Moderant, they go to CurseForge, they click on the latest version, they download. Essential is probably the same deal where they just go to the launcher, download it, they get an auto update. Oh, auto updates? Yeah, I'll put those on, and then they never see it again. Communication is extremely important, especially if you're someone who just got into the space from other projects into Java and you're not doing the full open source stuff, which again, you're in your full right to do. Then communication is key, and standing by your word is key. Not being a hollow, oh, we are listening to your feedback. Like, show that you actually are, and I think you are with the auto updates version. I think you are listening to feedback, and the source available is also a very, very good step in showing that you want to be a good a good actor in the space, right?
Yeah, and I think that's very important to us. I think there's obviously we're not going to blindly listen to everything people have to say. Sometimes people might have really strong takes that we don't agree with, but I think our general goal is to appeal to as many people as possible, to listen to feedback when we see that to be good reason for it, or we agree with the reasons for it, and and if we don't, to also just be honest in our communication as to why we're not changing it, and that's something we've done a little bit, and I hope we can do more of.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what communication or what form that takes, right? Because again, Essential is a very good tool. A lot of people use it who don't want to set up an entire server and mess around with an entire day. I mean, again, I did the hosting series, and I one of my things in there was like not everybody has time or the technical skills to download like a fabric jar or a forge jar and mess with startup flags and getting it running. Like if you're just with two or three friends willing to play a modded Minecraft or just even vanilla, just use Essential or use things like that, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Um but maybe let's talk about something that you wanted to talk about specifically, which is a good way of giving back to the community, right? Like the partner program. I think you described it to me.
Yes, it's a very exciting thing. So we're working on a mod partner program, and just I'm gonna go into the history of it a little bit. When we
Go ahead.
originally started Essential, we basically we partnered up with a bunch of creators from the Hypixel modding side. I think I already talked about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so. Yeah.
and they were building a project called Modcore, which was basically it had social features like a chat, but it was primarily a monetization engine for all the mods in the hype, or not all the mods, but a lot of mods in the Hypixel modding ecosystem. And um, the way that worked in Modcore wasn't particularly great because effectively other mods just shipped Essential within their mod,
Yeah.
and it got a bit of a reputation for being adware, which is still something we're struggling with today.
Yeah.
Um, so that's a legacy we inherited. There's still mods today that ship with Essential. There's some technological reasons for that because mods built on top of our technology and can't easily untie us. But lots of like I'm not technical enough to explain the depths of that. Either way, it kind of the way that program worked made us go away from being this monetization engine for other mods because it just had a bad taste in our mouth with the way it worked there. It had left a bad taste in users' mouth. So we kind of abandoned that part of the project. And we're finally coming back to it now where in I'm not going to announce a time, but in the next few months, we're going to be launching a new mod partner program, which allows mods to basically get a share of the revenue that we generate when their mod is present in parallel with Essential.
Yeah.
And the way it's going to work is that mods can have a banner on their pages similar to like hosting providers do it currently,
Yeah.
and mods will have the option to have like a little in-game ad, which is literally just a button with a modal that explains what Essential is and sends people to us.
Yeah.
So it's effectively an advertising partnership where we give lots of we first of all, I mean, for us it's beneficial because lots of mods will talk about us, and I think Essential is great in combination with a lot of mods. You talked earlier about Reign of Never and how you played it with Essential,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of mods make sense to play with friends, and like I said earlier, an accessibility problem is installing mods. Now, another layer of accessibility problems is installing mods to a server, and that's why I think what we're
Oh
super
yeah.
attractive to for people that want to play with mods, that want to play an SMP with their friends, to also play with Essential because we make that setup so much easier. You just have to both install the same mods and then you can play together. So there's a lot of synergy between us and a lot of mods. And those mods can now tell their players, hey, if you want to play with your friends, Essential is a great option. And we can share some of our revenue with them, where we have a distribution system where if Essential is installed and 3 partner mods are installed, they all get an equal split of our revenue share pool. Um, and if there's just one partner mod installed in the same instance, that one partner gets all of our revenue share pool. And that's coming soon and it's super exciting. And we actually have a lot of really exciting partners also already signed up who I can't name yet, but
Yeah. Of
um,
course.
super exciting thing this year. And I love that we're getting back to that initial vision of, helping other mod creators monetize, helping other mod creators taking this more seriously. And like I said, for me, it's a huge privilege to have turned Minecraft into my work, into my job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, And I hope more people can follow that path. It's already gotten a lot better. I think in the early days of Minecraft, it used to be that servers and server hosting companies were the only ones making money. That already got liberated a lot with the Minecraft Marketplace, and I know the Minecraft Marketplace has a mixed reputation, and I think there's lots of bad things going on in the marketplace. But one thing it did is allow people that are builders, that are model creators, that are mod developers or add-on developers on Bedrock, but
Yeah.
allow people like that to also earn a real living from what they're doing, and that's really awesome. That the spectrum of people that can make money with Minecraft was widened,
Yeah.
and I think the modding ecosystem on Java is unfortunate that it isn't there, like isn't in a similar spot. Because I think like if people that love creating Minecraft mods that make some of these awesome projects can turn into a job, they can first of all probably will have a better life because they can spend they're getting paid for something they love doing. On the other hand, also the users benefit because the projects will grow faster, the projects will have more features, the projects will get more polished, the projects will get more serious. And I hope and I know that what we're doing is not going to get us all the way there. It's just a small step in the right direction. But I
Yeah.
hope we can support mod makers on that journey, and we can get to a point where we're allowing more people to turn this into a career from just being a hobby.
I mean, that's commendable. One thing I do want to ask clarification on: when you say "add," it's just like a button with the Essential logo. I'm assuming in game. There's no like
Yes.
"add" banner. Okay, good.
No, there's a button with the Essential logo. When you click it, it opens a
Okay,
modal that
good. Yeah,
explains
yeah,
what
yeah,
Essential is, why it's cool for the player, and
yeah.
gives them an install option
No, that's
in the
good.
game.
That's good. As long as it's not like a giant ad for little
I also
Timmy's hardware store or something.
I also want to say that the like in-game integration is optional, so our partners can choose whether to include it or not. The
Okay.
requirement we have is the banner on the download page. That's the requirement we have.
Oh
The
yeah,
in-game
yeah.
ad is up to them. We don't want to force anyone to ship it. It's going to be fully open source. People can see how it works, and it's a very lightweight thing.
Yeah.
But we don't want to enforce it on anyone. It's a pure choice. And for the mod partners, it obviously it's going to be more. It makes sense for them to be more effective because the more of their players run Essential, the more they have a chance to earn, but it's not an enforced requirement. That was very important to us
No,
as well.
okay, yeah, yeah. That's good. That's good. I mean, it's basically the banners. I'm imagining is the same as we see right now with server providers, like Bisect and stuff. But that's a good way of tackling it. As long as it's not like a giant ad in my game, I'm totally fine with it.
Exactly.
Uh,
We're also working towards just to expand. Like I said, we have this problem from the original partner program and the Hypixel modding community origin of our project that we have projects that ship with Essential within it. Um, there's a technological thing that's happening where we're allowing developers on 1.8 versions to use mixins, which isn't available by default. And the way we're loading that can only be done by one mod. So if another mod had the same code in there, they would basically conflict with Essential and both mods wouldn't work.
yeah.
So it kind of has to only be an our mod, and people are using it, so they can't untie their mods from our mod, which is a very annoying problem to have. We are working on we are changing the behavior though, so that when a mod ships with Essential because of this technology they're using from us, that Essential is completely disabled by default, and
No.
it'll work similar to the mod, to the integration we're doing with our mod partners, where a user will have to there will be a little ad explaining what Essential is, like button ad explain, and then they can just enable Essential, and
Yeah.
it's still very annoying that our whole project ships with those mods. We don't like it. We're not gonna go and tell those mod creators to change the entire way their project works. That would not be fair to them. And we hope that we're at least finding a bit of middle ground by disabling all of our code that isn't required from a technology perspective for their project to run, and then giving the user the choice if they want to use it or not. And that's kind of, I hope that's the best we can do right now. But I hope that will improve that situation a little bit.
I believe as long as you can turn it off, that's fine. I would assume
You
that
already
some.
can.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
true.
right now you can already fully turn off Essential. It's just in those instances when it's pre-installed by another mod that's building on top of our technology that we are enabled by default. So user might install the SkyTilts mod when they're playing Hypixel Skywalk and then
Yeah.
have Essential and not know why the heck do I have Essential, right? And that's not something we want to see. That's not something we like. That's not something we're happy about. And we're finally addressing it.
No, because software installing itself is not very
It's not
good.
good.
Not a good look. But yeah, I would imagine it's just some sort of library baked into Essential that needs to be shipped as well. Um, but yeah, that's an interesting story, right? Going from just some hobbyists to now having a piece of software allowing people to play together. But that's all on Java. Maybe we'll have to switch a little bit to Bedrock because we talked about the add-on store as well, which, by the way, that's a very good way of looking at it. Broadening the way people can make money on Minecraft. I don't think a lot of people think that way. It's an interesting prospect. But maybe Spark Universe itself. How did you start that?
That's actually a funny story. So, I mean, my history in Minecraft, I can already touched on a little bit. I started, I think, when I was 13. I really can't recollect exactly, but very young, very early on, early days of Minecraft. I started playing in beta 1.4. I don't know when that was, but a long time ago.
Too long
Um,
ago.
and I basically, like, I think after like half a year of being a Minecraft player, like I had hunger to create a server, to be one of the cool guys with a server that people play on, and then to potentially be able to make money with it, right? But really, really about building content. And I think I had like 3 distinct server projects. The last one of which is actually one that's really, really important to me in my heart, which is the Crushed Pixel server network. And it was never big or successful. Nobody will know it, but it was really cool.
Yeah.
I think there's like a few videos on YouTube of it, but nothing major. But that one I think was very shaping for me. And I got to know a lot of really talented people that are still working with us today. Um, but
Oh,
that
that's
was
cool.
kind of, even though that project never was successful, it was a birthplace for a lot. The we I think in 2015 we decided to shut down that server because it wasn't going anywhere and we couldn't really afford to keep running it. Um, and I decided to take the build team we had created to create the maps for that server. I decided to turn it into a proper professional build team to try to get commissions of our projects to also join the building community, and that worked out really well. And we became a big player in the Minecraft building scene. We participated in Planet Minecraft contests. I think we placed second as our highest ever, but that was a big deal at the time. Those days are over, but Planet Minecraft building contests were a big deal,
They
and
were.
we really became a pretty well-known player in the Minecraft building scene. Started doing commissions for big YouTubers. I still have distinct memories working for Bajan Canadian servers, which was like my
Oh,
first bigger gig, and just a big like I kind of being a bit of a part of the history of the Minecraft community there. And when the marketplace started, we got an opportunity very early on to start creating content for the marketplace. And at first, it wasn't under our own name, but there was a Minecraft server partner, which is ImpVP, and
yeah.
they had access to the Minecraft marketplace because they are in the partner program. They didn't have a team to do anything for the Minecraft marketplace, and we kind of got the opportunity to just start publishing under their name, which we did for about a year. And that was we started Spark Universe at the time. It was called Spark Squared. Started it around that time as well, and just went in the marketplace and ended up being very successful very early on, which was great. We identified kind of what players wanted and delivered on it, and that was great. And then we had a very like that was I think 2017 or 2018, somewhere around there. And we had a like early decision to make because we were like a team of like less than 10 people. We were all doing school. This was all a hot like a thing we did on the side. And there was option one, which is we just made a lot of money. Let's take it and start our own careers, our own lives outside of Minecraft with this resource. Or the other option is let's take this money and go all in on Minecraft. And we see there's potential here. We just realized, we can build a business here, so let's do it. And that's what we ended up doing, which is reinvesting a majority of money, paying ourselves a like enough of a salary to move out from our parents, but nothing more than that, and really investing all of the money we were making into building an organization. And I think that became more and more serious over time. It's also, I mean, it's a very, it's a I don't know the word, but it's a journey. I want to
Yeah.
put an adjective in front of that. I don't know which adjective, but it was quite the journey, and it required a lot of personal growth because you're going from like an 18-year-old hobbyist Minecraft creator to suddenly suddenly people's livelihood depend on you. You have to start becoming an employee. You have to take these things really seriously, and you make a lot of mistakes along the way. And really growing into where we are now was very difficult but very rewarding. And I like where we are now, where, like I also said earlier, we're in a place where we actually have a very stable company where people can come and work, build a career, and like our stability is a big focus. Us treating our staff very well is a big focus. I care a lot about that. I think in general, like lots of people in our generation, when they're done with school or done with uni, do not go into healthy workplaces, do not go into good situations. I think the economy is not fair to young people, and
Nope.
I really like being a, I don't think we're changing anything, but I think we're on the bigger scale, but we're changing something for the people that work here in being the kind of opposite to that. And we're still also like, we have a long way to go. There's lots of things we're probably not doing the best ways. There's on a pay perspective as well, we're paying extremely well for the Minecraft industry. We're not paying well compared to the tech industry or the gaming industry as a whole. And I think, I mean, we have really talented people at Spark and at Essential. We regularly lose people to industry companies, which, I mean, great. I love when people get those opportunities. On our end, for us, it means we need to level up. We need to, because we need to get to a point where we're no longer the small players compared to tech industry and game
Yeah.
industry. We need to be competitive with that. So those are all things we're working on. But I really like building a sustainable, stable workplace in the Minecraft industry, giving people a place where they can decide, I'm going to commit to making Minecraft content, and it not to be a massive risk, because they know we're lasting and we're going to be here 5 years from now. We're going to be here 10 years from now,
Yeah.
and doing it in a healthy and rewarding way for our team. Um, yeah, and that's a big part of why here. I don't actually remember what the question was. With Bedrock content. Sorry,
Yeah. No,
I
no,
went
it's
on a
fine.
bit
It's
of a
fine.
tangent. I like having this talk. I love talking about this. This is like really why I do this now. So I love talking about
I
it.
mean, as someone
Uh,
who has had a burnout doing what they love, like I didn't touch upon what I actually do in like the preamble, but for my day job is a printing press operator. Ironically, German presses like the Heidelbergs right now, right? I fucking anyone from Heidelberg listening, I love your shit. But anyway, I came out of just high school because it's a trade, right? I came out of high school. I went to the first job, got absolutely hammered with 24-hour shifts and stuff. Then I got to a second job where I won't name them, but they were absolutely horrible to their employees. They wouldn't pay my overtime. I think I exited that with my burnout, and I had 366 hours of overtime unpaid, which they said
that's
they
not okay.
were keeping in reserve for when I want to go like take an extra vacation or something, and they would pay me, but there was never time. And then they would count my night hours as day hours and that kind of stuff, right? I left that place with a burnout, so it kind of rings true of what you say of like people leaving college or school, and a lot of companies use the passion that you feel because like again I am one of those very passionate people about it. They use the passion that you feel to exploit you because you want to learn, you want to be, you want to work yourself up, and you think by if I just push through, they'll appreciate what I'm doing here. But a lot of companies don't. They just see you as expendable. Like the next wave of you will be ready next year. So if you burn out within the year, that's fine. We'll get a new one as equally as passionate as you are, but just fresh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I
really
also
disheartening to see.
I do. I mean, I do also have to say, obviously we've been doing this for almost 8 years at this point, and we haven't done everything right on our journey as well. Like, I think to get to where we are now and to get to understanding the responsibility we have, like that required learning, that required growth.
Oh yeah,
Like I said, when we started a company at you're 18, you're just hobby. Like when we started, in all honesty, like I was here to be the biggest, be the best, do the coolest, and show to everyone else that nobody is as good as we are, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
the mindset you start with, and that's a very different cultural outset to where we are at now,
Oh
where
yeah.
it's really, you've grown up and you realize people are starting to think about building a family, and they're relying on you for their income, right? Like, and that there's definitely like you have to make mistakes along the way, and we've definitely had situations with people where I don't think we treated them fairly. um, but nothing on the scale of what you're talking about. I'm very grateful for that. I think we've always done our best to reconcile it as well. But I think when you're starting as a kid running a company, you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna have to learn. And I think I'm happy with where we're at now. I know we're gonna make more mistakes, but I really think we have a really healthy culture, and we're putting a lot of focus on you know doing the right thing and being an awesome place to work.
Again, as long as you learn from it, I've since joined my local union. uh, which is, well, you have to be in a union in Belgium, but I'm like in the union circle at my work. As long as you're open to feedback and as long as you are thinking with your employees in mind, that's totally fine. Every company has growing pains. I now also employ people. I have also made mistakes with those people, but you always approach it from these are people, not tools. And as long as you do that, you're okay in my book. Like if you don't treat devs as just numbers on a spreadsheet and use that to calculate how long this is gonna take, that's fine. And I don't think Spark doesn't seem the kind of studio that does that because that doesn't feed creativity. That
if
hampers creativity.
if we were like if we wanted to maximize profitability, we wouldn't make we wouldn't make the stuff we do as good as we are. I think
No.
we'd be a very different company. um Actually, I have to shout out, we have an awesome head of people in our company who was Lauren, who's a big part as well of making sure our employees are taken care of, and I want to shout her out because she's great. um
Big
but
ups, Lauren. Big ups.
yeah, we have like, so we really care about these things. We have a free, like we have a people, like where our company is 50 to 60 people. We have three of those people working up just HR department and making sure that people have opportunities within our company. We're communicating correctly and people feel supported.
Yeah.
Super important. The origin of why we got on this tangent was Bedrock content. I
Yeah,
actually,
go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
I wanna just, because I think people are going to be interested in it. I think, I mean, you talked about the market. We both talked about the marketplace having a mixed reputation. I obviously gave my perspective on it. I also want to say, like, I think there's lots of room for criticism of the marketplace. There's lots of people that create on the like that create shit, and that are just like new shit every week just to milk the players. I don't like that. I think there's lots of things about the Bedrock ecosystem we're not happy about, but I want to, and I think this perception has been changing a little bit over the last year, where there's always been good creators on the marketplace. There's always been people that make awesome stuff, and I think that's becoming more highlighted over the last year and a half, especially with the launch of add-ons, and people are seeing more of the awesome stuff that's coming out. And I think if you go on any platform, if you go on Steam and you look at all the content that comes out, like there's lots of shit. There's lots of exploitative content. There's lots of
Oh
just
yeah.
like get it out there, right? Like, and I think the marketplace is similar, where there's lots of content like that. I think in the past the marketplace has not done a good job at filtering that out from a discoverability perspective. They're getting better at that. I see lots of people always calling for much higher quality standards in the marketplace. I actually disagree with that, because I think people should be allowed to publish content and try to make money with it, and people shouldn't like someone else shouldn't enforce on you what you're making and how it has to be. But I
Yeah.
think more so the marketplace needs to do a better job at highlighting the content that is valuable for players, highlighting the content that people love playing and that drives high engagement. And they're doing that. They're getting in the right direction. It's really awesome, and we're benefiting from that, because with Spark, I would quite selfishly say we've always been a quality leader and a leader of innovation in the Bedrock space. Not alone. There's many other amazing Bedrock creators that deserve just as much praise as we do. Um, but it's been really good for us that the marketplace is highlighting high quality and high engagement content. And we love what we do there. We have some amazing projects. If you like adventure maps, I highly recommend Zombies 2 from us. It's not one of our, not very popular in our catalog of content, but it's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
favorite like linear experience we ever made. Um, I also, if you want to just play like a modded experience, we created Realism Craft, which is this super cool visual overhaul of Minecraft with changes to world generation, like
I
cooler
have
looking
seen that.
biomes, cooler
Yes.
structures. Like that, I think is our most successful project to date, and something that our team dearly loves, and we're intending to still update a lot and do a lot with.
Yeah.
And yeah, but the Bedrock space has a lot of flaws. There's lots of things that are not going right, but more than anything, it's also a very positive space. It's allowing lots of people to make money creating what they love. It's allowing a lot of players to engage with content that they really love and that drives their passion for Minecraft. And it's a net positive for Minecraft,
Yeah. I
I
was
would say.
just about to say it's a big net positive, but you're a Mojang partner right now, right?
Yes.
How
Yes.
how
So we're
is how is it working with them?
great. There's always I can't say too much, of
No,
course.
of course.
We work on, like, for some context for our listeners or viewers. We create some of the official like branded DLC kind of for Minecraft. Like we did the Star Wars DLC, we did the SpongeBob DLC. We just recently we did a bunch of content around the Minecraft movie leading up to its release, like a live event, which is basically a server that's up for 10 days where people
Oh, you
can.
did a live event? Oh,
Yeah,
nice. Okay, yeah, good. No, go ahead.
I
Sorry.
love the live event. It was
Oh
really
yeah,
awesome.
it
I
was
think
good.
one of my favorite projects we ever made. It's very sad it's only there for 10 days. Um, or we did a Minecraft movie DLC, right? And we have a very close working relationship with Minecraft and Mojang. They're great to work with. When you're working with a big company, there's always some bureaucracy, there's always a bit of back and forth, but that's completely all right. And they're great at supporting creators, not just us, right? Like we're obviously one of their closest partners in creating some of that content, but they're generally really good with supporting the creator ecosystem on Bedrock,
Yeah,
and just have positive things to say.
as to be expected. Bureaucracy. I mean, it's a Microsoft company at this point.
Exactly.
Like, come on.
It's not even just that, right? Like I think any company, the bigger it gets, at
Oh
some
yeah.
point, like the bigger something gets, the more it has to rely on process and things
Oh
being
yeah.
done a
Yeah.
certain way that's been established, and then that comes with inefficiency, but it also comes with consistency, and
I
that's
mean,
just required when you grow past a certain size. I hope like with Spark, my goal has always been to like stay below that size where it becomes that crazy inefficient. But I can already see it now with 50 to 60 people how much harder communication is becoming and how much there's need for process in certain places. So I totally understand how it gets to the point that Minecraft is at or that Microsoft is at.
yeah. I mean, yeah. 1 second. I just got a text from someone. I think someone arrived a little bit earlier, but that's fine. I'll cut that out. What I was going to say was that I think the second you can't see everybody's monitor anymore, you start getting those inefficiencies because you have to ask, hey, what you doing? What's the status update? And then you have to have meetings, and then you have to have managers to overlook the guys in the other room. That kind of stuff. It happens.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I can speak from my own experience there. We're already more inefficient than I would like to be, but it's unavoidable
Yeah.
if we're growing.
I mean, it's yeah. Again, it's expected, right? Um, I do gotta ask. I've scheduled you for an hour. We're at that hour mark. I don't know if you want to wrap things up because
I
you.
can so I can do another 7 minutes. I have another meeting in 7 minutes. So you have me for another seven, then I have to go get out here.
I think we'll have to round it out because I think my friend is also at my door. But this is awesome. I love planning. But yeah, like I said, it's bureaucracy is a thing. But no, it's been interesting having you here. It's good that Essential and by extension Spark Universe is doing some communication around that stuff because honestly, if you see some of the community stuff, you would think you guys are absolutely abhorrent. But it's good to know that from even an employee standpoint, you're trying to improve and be better than people make you out to be. I don't know if you have something to say before I actually round the episode out.
I don't really. I mean, I think if there's more questions, I'm happy to come on again. I'm not sure when I'll have time again, but we can do another one of these anytime
Oh yeah,
if there's demand.
yeah.
And it was really nice being here. Thanks for the opportunity. Like I said, we're looking to get out there more, do more communication. This is a part of that. So thanks for giving me this opportunity.
I mean,
And
thank you for
yeah,
giving you your time. I think your time is more valuable than mine.
I don't like to look at it that way. I
I
think everyone's time is valuable.
That's true. True, you only live once, but let me put it this way. My time here doesn't lose me any time I could be doing my job, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
This is
this
this
is your
is
job.
free time.
This
Yeah.
is my job as well, right?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. You have me on that one. But yeah, I think that should be it. So thank you again and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Yeah, have a nice day.